Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're tackling a really huge idea, one that's absolutely central to theology. The claim that the Son, Jesus Christ, actually shares the very throne of God the Father in heaven.
So let's just jump right in with a big question. When you picture the throne of God, the ultimate seat of universal power, who do you actually see sitting on it? Well, the source material we're looking at today argues that the picture is a whole lot more complex and a lot more unified than you might think.
All right, so here's how we're going to break it all down. We're going to build this case step by step, starting with the throne itself, looking at divine likeness, his role as revealer, the worship he receives, and finally the name he's given. Okay, first up, this core concept of a shared throne. This is really the foundation for everything else, so let's get right into it.
And the argument kicks things off with a pretty direct statement from Jesus himself. There's not a lot of wiggle room here. He says he sat down with my Father on his throne. It's not a separate chair next to the big one. It's a shared seat of power.
But it doesn't stop there. It actually gets even more specific. We're not just talking about sitting on the throne. Another passage in Revelation says the Son, represented as the Lamb, is right at the very center of it. Think about that for a second. The center is the ultimate position of importance.
All right, so if they share a throne, you gotta wonder, do they share a likeness? In a divine sense, I mean. Well, that's exactly where the source material goes next, looking at the descriptions of the Son to see how they match up with the Father.
So get this, in Revelation, the Apostle John has this incredible vision of the Son, and the description is just, wow, hair white as snow, eyes like blazing fire. That's not how you describe a regular person, right? This is language reserved for ultimate divinity, wisdom, and someone ancient and all-powerful.
And the description just keeps building in intensity. His feet are like glowing metal, his voice sounds like a massive waterfall, and his face is as brilliant as the sun. The point being made here is pretty clear. This is not the description of a subordinate. This is the language of supreme divine power.
So when you put it all side by side like this, it's kind of hard to ignore. On one side, you have these classic attributes of the unseen Father, and on the other, the vision of the Son. The source argues this is completely intentional. It's meant to show they share the same divine DNA, so to speak.
Okay, this idea of a shared likeness brings us to the next big question. What's the Son's role in all of this? Well, the argument is that he's the one who actually makes the invisible Father visible.
Now, to really get this, we have to touch on a core theological idea. The Son is called the second person of the Godhead. What that basically means is that he has the same divine essence as the Father. And, this is crucial, in his original state, he was just as invisible.
You take a verse like this one, it's a famous description of God living in unapproachable light, someone no one can see. What's so fascinating is that the source material says, hey, this applies to the Son too. Before he came to earth, he also dwelled in that same unseeable, unapproachable light.
And this is the key takeaway, the whole point. The incarnation, the act of becoming human, is what bridged that gap. The invisible became visible. The unseeable Son stepped into our world, and in doing so, became the perfect living, breathing image of the unseen Father for all of us to see.
Okay, so let's follow this logic. If they share a throne and they share a divine nature, then what about worship? Do they get the same level of praise? That's a huge deal.
Well, the source points to this incredible scene in Revelation. You have literally every creature in all of existence singing praise. And listen closely to who they're singing to. To him who sits on the throne and to the Lamb. It's not one or the other. It's both, together, receiving the exact same honor.
And this is so important. It's not like they're singing one song for the Father and then another song for the Son. Nope, it is one single, unified act of worship for both of them. The argument here is that you just can't do that unless they share the same divine status. It's presented as the ultimate proof of equality.
All right, this all builds to a final climactic point. We're talking about the Son's ultimate promotion, you could say, where he inherits the Father's own authority, all wrapped up in a single powerful name.
The Apostle Paul actually lays this out for us step by step. It's a progression, right? First, God exalted him to the highest place possible. Then, he's given this name that is above all other names. And what's the result of that? Universal adoration and confession. Every knee bows.
So what is this name above every name? The source is really clear. It's not just a fancy new title. The argument is that it's the Father's own name. It represents a full transfer of his power and authority
bestowed directly upon the Son. And this verse really just seals the deal. It says God seated him at his right hand, far above all rule and authority. It doesn't get any higher than that. He's placed above literally any other power you could possibly think of or name.
So let's tie this all together. The big picture from our source material is this. Through his victory and exaltation, the Son inherits the whole shebang from the Father. His name, his authority, his glory. And because of that, he rightfully takes his seat on the one throne of God as the ruler of all creation.
Which leaves us with this one last thing to chew on. After building this case piece by piece, if the one who walked the earth as a human now sits at the very center of divine power, sharing the throne of the universe, what does that shared authority really mean for how we understand God? And maybe more importantly, what does it mean for us?